could take these notes.
Right.
So you know that too, right? I say, so just go back, just leave it, just forget about it. You know what I mean? And I'm not showing you the notes, and okay. And he said, all right, brother, all right. And I left, and I said, that's it. That was it for me. I said, because I need to go someplace else where they understand what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? So I couldn't go to New York. And I went to California. I went to California because my brother, my cousin, my dad was there, and my cousins were there.
Okay.
So I would have a place to stay. But I knew that was it for St. Louis. It was it. It was over.
Well,
you know, St. Louis, Oliver Lake had a song called Sad Louis Misery. And I really understood. I left the University of Missouri. I went back to St. Louis, and I was going to school at SIU Edwardsville. Right? Okay. They at least had a guitar program. I was studying class. Still couldn't get to the real jazz. Then I was working in St. Louis, and the clubs in St. Louis closed at 1 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So I would find myself in my car. I had a Toyota, standard shift, and I would put it in first gear and take my foot off the gas and just let the car go down the street at 3 miles an hour. And I would just sit there with my hands folded at 1 o'clock in the morning talking about, man, it's got to be something else happening. There was no traffic. I could just go through all the stop signs and everything. Nobody on the street at 1 o'clock at night. And then with all the stuff that the guy just told me too, like when Blake and him told me, you want to play this music, you got to come to New York, hang out on the street with it. And I read Mingus' book, Charles Mingus' book, Beneath the Underdog.
Yeah.
So I knew it was all happening in New York. And after Lester Boy and all that, I said, man, I got to get out of here. So I made a beeline. In fact, I ran to New York. I caught up with Charles Bogle Shaw because I knew that he was going to Europe with his band, him and Joseph Boyd. And they were looking for a guitar player. So I said, well, the right opportunity, right time. So I moved to New York in May of '78, and June of '78, I was in Europe with Bogle. Yeah. So it was really perfect timing, but it was just a getaway, just like you said, to expand and get away from the sad little misery.
Brother Noland, we talked about misery before. I think we had an outing and we kind of talked. What do you think about the guys that are sitting next to you? Is it something that's going to come from the Pico, or it's already there? I have a feeling it's already there.
Yeah, it's already there. So, it's, as I was growing up, and growing up in Hawaii, I mean, you're fascinated with all of this stuff. Quincy Troupe, Miles Davis, Coltrane. I mean, I was, I did, our whole family is musical, but when you're stuck in the middle of sea, 5,000 miles away from the Meccas, you realize you're limited too, and everybody takes a different path and how they become musical, and I always wanted to play all the genres, and I wanted to listen and feel myself up, armor myself up inside and out, so to sit with these gentlemen and have an opportunity to see, how we can surf together, it's going to be like really cool. I mean, I'm here in Hawaii, it's hard to have St. Louis misery, I mean, every day I get up and say, mahalo, thank you. Wow, look at this beautiful place, man. How lucky am I, So to have that energy, too, always constant, you try to find a way, to leverage everything out, so that your aspirations for music, are leveraged by the beauty that you have of nature here. But I know as well, that I had to move to LA, that I had to play in Seattle, that I had to go to New York, and I got scared. I never heard sirens, and the first time I went to New York to play on this project, I was on the 30th floor of the Hilton, and it's like, I couldn't sleep, because I never heard those sounds, and everything, and just to walk the streets, the vibe, the vibe was so stimulating, and that same thing, I'm sure you can come to Hawaii, man, you're hanging out on the beach for a while. Wow. Yeah,
that was my first aha moment when I first got here. I took about 2 weeks of aha moments.
And I think that it's if you have that kind of openness and you have that kind of spirit, it's always good. It sounds like they've been doing what I've been doing and thinking about for so many years, and then they just solidify that again, like, connected.
I want to add one thing, Bill, Hamid Blewett. I've worked with Hamid Blewett for a long time, over time, and also Julius Hemphill and a lot of Arthur Blythe and musicians. But there was a moment with Hammy and Blewett, and Julius was in that band. It was in the Village, and you know, Blewett called you up and said, yeah, man, look, I want you to read poetry with the big band. I said, okay, David Murray and all these people in the band and the saxophone section and Julius and all. And I got there and I said, so, you know, a poet is usually out front.
Right.
In front of the band or whatever group you're in, you know, or at least, I said, so Blewett, where am I on the beat? He said, in the saxophone section. I said, in the where? He said, the saxophone section. So I said, so when am I going to know when I'm going to read? He said, I'm going to point. I said, point? He said, yeah. I said, well, what tune are you going to play? He said, I don't know. I don't know. You just be ready. Just be ready. So he was changing tunes and the tempos were changing. So I'm looking through all these poems trying to keep, you know, get one appropriate for that moment when he points. So I'm in the middle and I look up and he's pointing. Like this. I just made it all up. I just made it all up right there on the spot. And he was big, grand, you know.
Do you find that some of your best work is shoot from the hip?
Oh yeah, that was an amazing, for me as a poet, having, you know, like rehearsed with people, and that was a spontaneous like moment with all these great musicians, and it's scary because you got Julius Hemphill playing, you got David Murray, you got Blewett, you got all these great drummers and all these, you know, playing in this band, and they are cooking, you know what I mean? They're like, they're like cooking, you know, and they ain't waiting for you. They're not waiting for you. They just gonna run right over you with the sound, you know.
No, that's interesting what you say about the best moment being like shooting from the hip. I know the first time I went to Europe playing with Bobo Shaw and Joe Boyd, we didn't have any rehearsal before we left. And I found myself, we were in Italy rehearsing for the first kid, and so they just started playing. And I said, well, man, what key is this tune? And Bobo was like, man, don't ask me about no key, man. And I was a little confused. I said, well, man, I don't know this, man. What are you talking about? You know, and I kept asking questions. He was getting mad. So then Bobo finally, he looked at Joe. He said, yo, man, we got to send this cat back to New York. So I don't have time for this, man. I got time for this. He got to go. He got to go. So I was sitting there. I was getting mad, you know. So I was playing the guitar like, well, you ain't sending me back to New York. I played all this anger, and then when I put out, he was like, yeah, that's what I want right there. So it was about playing from a position of attitude, just determination and focus and energy and power, just like, you know, being able to grab that. So it is a lot of improvisation, spontaneity that goes with it. And as you know, it's almost like I'll just say maybe the best way I can say like your first kiss. You know, you're trying to get back to that first kiss. You know how it was that first time. I'll say kiss. I don't go in.
Go there.
That moment again. That first time you touch ecstasy. You're always trying to recreate that moment every time. And I'm still on that quest even as a musician.
Yeah.
And I'm finding just like what Brother Noland here is talking about, these aha moments. There's a science, like you say, jumping in the water and getting on that wave. It's a different wave, but you know how to stand on the board and how to balance yourself. And it's always about trying to recreate that initial moment of pure ecstasy and unknown, like, oh, I didn't know this was here. You know?
Right.
So,
and you know, if you can't call yourself a surfer if you haven't hit the reef. There are those moments when you hit the reef and you got to get back on the board and you got to go back out and you got to interact once again, you know. It's like life.
Yeah.
It's life.
So I got to ask, how hard is it for you guys to separate your actual physical training from your feeling? It's like you came in and you were looking for a certain key, and there wasn't one.
Right.
Did you panic?
Yeah, I panicked. I freaked out. I did all that. But now what I'm learning is like it's not about trying to separate that.
Yeah.
It's not that's where the oneness is. It's the oneness is all that. It's about hitting the reef.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to be ready to fail. You know, I've been telling my daughter about falling in love. You got to be ready to be totally rejected.
Right. Get your heart broken.
You got to be ready to take all that because
broken.
it's an expression of all that. When we're talking about an aha moment, when we're talking about pulling down the Holy Ghost, you're pulling down all of that. It's just like it's like the blue. You know, you talking about all this negative stuff. You know, my baby done left me. I ain't got no money. But we all feel good when we hear that music. We feel good because it's encompassing all of the negative, all of the positive, all of the love, all of it. It's all in there in one big bundle. And that's why it's so powerful, because it's not about separating all those things. It's about bringing all those things into play. All my fears, you know. Just everything's there in one, and you got to work with it as one. It's like the whole universe. It's like everything that it's about. It's like the sun.
Okay.
You know, it's got fire to burn you, but it's also making the trees grow. You know?
And you got to be able to ride it. You know, I'm just talking about the poet. You got to be able to ride it when you hit it. You got to be able to ride it, which means you have to change some of the lines. You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to change and cut lines and do all that. It's a collaboration. It's like almost like, you know, it's a reason why a lot of basketball players, when there's 1 second left on the clock, and the score is 69-68, and this guy goes to the line, and they always miss the 2 shots. You know, because they can't ride this. The energy is too much, and they get so scared they freeze. They freeze. You just freeze. But what you got to do is block everything out. You got to block it all out. All them people waving behind the. You know, like this, you got to not see that, and you got to see the front rim, do that, and just be free enough to shoot for the front rim, boom, right over the front rim, bang, and hit that shot, jump back, take 5 bounces, if you got 5 bounces, or 7 bounces, and just bang, 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 bang. Wham! You don't see nobody. You be in the zone. You be in the zone.
I wish somebody had told me that for my first kiss.
You got to be in the zone. If
that
you
was a no moment.
If you're not in the zone, I mean, if you're not in the zone, you're gonna mess it up. And if you fail, like Brother Noland said, and like Kelvyn said, you got to get back up.
Right.
You got to get back up, because you can't be afraid of failing, because you're gonna fail. Right. You're gonna fail. I've failed. I've hit some moments, boy. It was terrible. Right there in front of a lot of people. You know,
Now what?
But sometimes you got to touch that to get to the highest spot.
Yes,
Sometimes you got to touch
absolutely.
the bottom.